about to go deep with Dane Good.
Righto, Rich. How you going, brother?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's good to have you here. It's been a while since we caught up.
Yeah, good few years. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to have you here, man. So last time would have been, I went over to your house, I dropped off some beer because you did me an absolute solid doing the sound design on Grind, the short film.
Yeah, that was good, man. And I actually remember working with Rob on that because he did the music, which was awesome as well.
Yeah.
Robert Sedke.
Oh, man, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's unreal.
He was a godsend when I put out the bat signal on Facebook to get someone to do the score for the film.
Yeah.
And he answered, and I just couldn't have got anyone any better. Like, he was in Melbourne.
Yeah.
We're communicating through messages or on the phone, but I didn't even know this guy from Burra. So get him on the phone. We're like 2 hours on the phone straight up, and it was like, I've known him forever.
And he can shred. Like,
Yeah, I saw his video the other day.
Yeah,
actually.
man, he's unreal. He's so good.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so that was good, man. But yeah, that's 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, man.
And now here we are. It doesn't feel like 4 years, though.
It doesn't. It only feels like, a year or two, if that?
If that, man. It's been crazy times, I'm sure, for you as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot's been going on since then as well, though, right? I mean, you're deep into, like, filming a lot of commercial gigs, corporate stuff, and...
Yeah. So I just run audio nowadays, which is great. Love it, man. Because, I guess honestly, man, since we worked on Grind together, that was kind of a bit of a, I don't know, not a turning point, because I've always been into audio. I really like music, did a load of it at uni. I was just telling you before, I used to host a radio show as a kid in Bundaberg Saturday mornings. So like that was all through high school that I hosted that. So I've always had like an affinity with sound. And then, worked on Grind, and I think that was like the last kind of gig. That was the first gig, the last time where I decided I don't want to do anything else. I'm just going to work in audio.
Yeah.
And man, it's been going really well. So I'm stoked, very fortunate.
Saying Grind ruined the show, ruined your sound point.
Yeah, Grind just like all hopes I had of doing anything else in this industry were dashed. So now I'm just holding a microphone and hoping for the best.
Yeah, because you were doing a bit of boom stuff for us as well, and ever since I've known you, I think I've been sound in film is one of those things that it's not that it's underappreciated, it's just not thought of. Filming is about filming, right? You've got your camera and your lighting guys, and at the end of the day, you can do ADR on an entire film if you need to. Which would be a painful process. And
you
lose a lot of the magic too.
Yeah, totally, right? So
that's an amazing ADR artist. Yeah,
that's my job, is to kind of try and insist that we don't go down that road. But because it's not at the forefront of people's minds, I guess, it was good for me because I always had that interest in it, that I could focus on it, and other people were kind of happy to leave that to me. So I got to learn a lot early on. Yeah. And I'm still learning. Like, I've been working full time in sound now for, the last 5 years. And I'm still always learning, and I know I'll be learning for many years to come. But those early years, it was a big advantage for me to be just that interest in it, where a lot of other people kind of go, it's just
sound. Yeah. But that's actually what you say there is one thing I noticed about you early on set, because we went back to when we were doing Synergy. It was where we met when
many
you were in
years ago,
QUT.
Man. Yeah.
It was one of the first productions I did, like with Lee, like co-writing and producing it and all the rest of it. But one thing, I did notice with you with sound is that you were always mindful of all the other things going on around you as well, but you were quick to call up things if something wasn't sounding quite right, if something was, if there was an issue, you addressed it then, rather than just hit record and just, I'm just going to stay in the back, we'll fix it in post or whatever. Yeah. Like you say, you were very on the money with that, and that's one of the things that stood out with me as a producer standpoint, like from word go, which is why I was always like, I'll get rich. If I can get rich, I'm going to get rich on board. Yeah.
It's a funny job, man, because sometimes you can get away with that. Like sometimes it comes down to it, and like you can hit record and you'll do all right. You'll get good audio, and especially if you've got a good team around you and everyone's aware of all the issues, it can kind of work out quite well. But, I do find more times than not nowadays, it is just about being mindful and learning the kind of politics of, especially every job you're on. It's like, okay, you got to learn the scope of what is the scope to go into post with this? How much attention do we need to pay? And learning your directors and your producers, and how much can you push for as a sounder on set? And so always learning, man. But it's been great. Yeah, the last couple of years has been wild. It's been a weird time, but we've been fortunate here in Southeast Queensland, North New South Wales, that there's just been so much going on. I think we're just going gangbusters, and hopefully that will carry on post pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we don't need a world pandemic to all be busy in this corner of the world.
It's a bit like that, eh? It's like we kind of got our time to shine right now. And like have done for the last few years, like it was building with a lot of bigger productions coming here, say like your Pirates of the Caribbean, your Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Unbroken. All those ones were like, people were coming here, but they were also coming here a lot because of the tax incentives by the government and everything to shoot here, plus locations and having the studio obviously down the coast there.
Yeah.
But it's like you kind of starting to prove yourself as a player in the industry. And then now that these ones are coming here even more so, but you just hope they come back to use it and they're not using it for those exact things, you know?
Yeah, like, I don't want to get too political, but like the Queensland government's done a pretty good job of like bringing productions which is really good. I just would love to see, I work in audio, so I get a call and do a job, you know what I mean? I don't see behind the scenes. Yeah. So I'm not too well versed in kind of development
stages of productions,
and I'm not applying for grants and I'm not applying for development, so I'm not sure what those processes, how good they are for the people who are taking part in them. But from the people I speak to, the people who are fortunate enough to kind of get those development programs really enjoy them. But I just hope that all that kind of builds underneath what we're doing now as well. We've got so many talented crew because they're needed at the moment. Even there are even calls that we don't have enough crew in Southeast Queensland at the moment for the amount of work that's going on.
Yeah.
So I hope that underneath this, because we've got so much crew, it's going off. I hope we've all got a place to kind of sit maybe when everything settles a bit. Yeah. But the slate's still looking good, man. We've still got another good 12, 18 months of productions over here. And I've done dailies on some of those big things and filled in and done second unit stuff, but I've not had work for any period of time on those big dramas.
Yeah.
But what it's meant for me is in my side of things with kind of corporate and ads and stuff, a lot of crew does get pulled into those dramas. So there's a lot kind of more freed up underneath that as well. So I don't know, it's working out. So hopefully it does mean bigger and better things for everyone as we move forward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, like having the days on set. And of that like little core group of when I met you, and we did, I think we did it might have been, what's the 48-hour film festival? I think we did once ages ago.
Always, they're so much fun.
They are fun, yeah. And it's funny because there was a core group. Obviously, I knew Jerry from when we used to, when we did Synergy and stuff like that, and he was on that. And Shayla.
Oh, yeah. I saw Shayla the other day, actually. So she's
doing awesome, man. And out of that group, I've seen like you guys doing really well, and it's something I want to talk to you about, like that have transitioned from obviously studying and doing film, right? Yeah. But actually transitioned into the corporate and the higher end, performing environments and actually got gigs, because you don't always see it. People fade out of the industry or they don't keep at it and things. And it's funny because of that group of people. I've seen you guys in the big sets. I've seen Shayla I was down there on one of those bigger productions down studios, and she was like second AD on like the second, basically with the main AD running like that whole day on set that we were doing with a lot of commotion and stuff going on. Yeah. That I was luckily enough to get a real good gig on, like doing some stunts and shit, which I probably shouldn't have been doing, but hopefully it features in that film that we did, because it was awesome, man. Yeah, But that's why I was like, fuck, this is so cool to see that she's like running this, and I know her from 5-6 years ago or whatever, when we were doing like that little 48-hour film festival. To see like the progress and the growth and everything is amazing. Yeah,
I used to get really pissed off at uni when we'd have kind of industry experts and really experienced people come in and talk to us about working in the industry and what you got to do to kind of make you break, because I always found that they never really had any like cut and dry answers for you. Like we're all sitting there at the end of the day at QUT, you know, you might have 50, 80 people who graduate every year with a piece of paper that says, you know, they can make films.
Yeah.
And we were all hungry for that information, like what's the breakout point? What do you need to do to make sure you're successful? And now, not to say that I'm like, you know, killing it or whatever. I'm still, like I say, I'm still learning a lot and I'm still kind of finding my way, but I understand now why there wasn't that cut and dry advice, because it just kind of doesn't exist. You know, like for me, I've found myself, if you just work hard and you're nice to people, that helps a lot as well.
Yeah, I think that's a huge point, because then you get asked back to do these things and you get noticed by the guys that are, say, your first ADs, second ADs or whatever, and the ones that are actually in charge of getting you on board. And that's all it takes to get your foot in the door. You need your toe in the door, and then you just work your magic from there, right?
Yeah, and it can kind of expand from there. Yeah. So it's a funny thing. Like, you know, you say, I can't tell you why it's kind of worked out for this group of people. I think it is just like we've knuckled down and tried to do as much as we can, and it's paying off. So it's good.
Yeah, and I think it's that drive as well, obviously, and not giving up and taking the opportunities when you get them, man, and doing some of those gigs like that are obviously not paying as much or at all, you know, and just getting that recognition and building that up, like, because people can get a bit of an ego on them and stuff like that, and that's not going to help you on set at all.
No. Like, you know what that's like, man. You know, whatever level you're at, like, it's never nice to be, you know, to be dealing with that within the crew from wherever it's coming from.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's inevitable, but, you know, at the end of the day, like, I try and keep that mantra about me that, like, it's sound as well, again, is like that I'm not really doing a creative role on set. I'm there to do quite a functional role. You know, I'm a cog in the machine. It's, you know, my input's not game changing or anything. All I'm trying to do is get good sound of that, that performance on the day, and trying to save a load of cash for production in the back end of things.
Yeah.
So completely forgot where I was going with that, mate.
Your role in the production, like, rather than you're not on the creative side of things.
Yeah. So, like, man,
it's all right.
Yeah, that's all.
It's 9:30 in the morning. It's okay.
Is.
It's okay.
It's not, no, it's an appropriate.
Well, it's 12 o'clock somewhere. Cheers, brother.
Yeah, cheers. Something about, you know, not being creative. I was going to say, what I had to say was going to be quite profound. I'm sorry,
it'll come back to you at the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, it's amazing. And like I said, I've seen Jerry on a few of those sets, like whether he's on like the second tier of the filming stuff, like and it's awesome to see, man. Yeah.
It's been fun. It's been a good journey, and it's funny, you know, like I say, coming out of uni and you've got all these kind of hopes, and, you know, you're like 21 and you think things are going to start falling in your lap.
To the big productions,
right?
And
which some people are doing right now because of how busy it is, and that's so good for them. Like, that's awesome. But it does take time to kind of cement yourself in there, and I feel like I'm only just losing that imposter syndrome now. Like, you know, half a decade into it being my full-time job, I can finally go to set and know that, okay, I know what I'm doing and I know what my role is, and I'm okay at it. So,
because it must be a daunting prospect at first. Like, I can only see it from a performance side of things, obviously. Yeah. Well, you know, on those bigger sets.
Which is just as daunting.
It can be, I guess. Yeah. At the start, for sure. Well, no, it can be, depending on your role and what you're doing. But like, being as part of the cog in the bigger machine of things, and you've got all these experienced people around you that have done this for 20, 30 years, or you always see there's a lot of older guys or, you know, ladies on set or whatever that have been doing it for a long time, and they stay with that production company, with those producers, with those directors that are always getting them on board.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, I'm a young fella in this. I just came off a uni shoot last week, like, or whatever, you know, an independent shoot, short film. And now I'm helping doing sound. Like, I may be second, third tier, whatever, helping out, but it's kind of crazy when you're responsible for this certain task and capturing this audio clean, you say, for the bigger picture, the bigger film, you know. And it must be a daunting prospect to just roll into like that, but you got to take it as it comes, right? And
and you've got to do it. You've just got to do it. My point before that I completely forgot was, like, in terms of that, like, back to being nice person to work with. That's what I'm trying to take along with me, because what I'm offering production isn't like beautiful visuals or something that's really taking production to the next level. Like if I'm on location recording, I find that, a lot of the job is just like I was saying earlier, figuring out as soon as you get to set, okay, what's the process here? What's the scope? And then just working within that and being as pleasant as I can, and getting the job done. So, it's funny, man. Like I think I get off on it being like stressed about what I'm doing a little bit. Like that's what drives me to keep doing it.
Do you think that puts you in the zone? That little bit of, pressure makes diamonds, so to speak? Like,
yeah. And like it's fun, like that's what
I think it locks you in, man, because when you're in a normal mindset of a normal day, a day in, day out lifestyle, right? Yeah. And work as well. It can become work though, even though you're doing it. And I say the film realm is like another world in itself. Yeah. But it can become that thing probably if you're doing it day in and day out. But when you're locked, like when you're forced to like just sweat a little bit and you're like, like it's tunnel vision. You're like, okay, I'm on and I know what I got to do. I've got a job to do and I'm going to do it. It just switches that cog to make you be better. Like maybe you're rising to the occasion of the challenge of the thing, Yeah. And it's been like I used to play quite a bit of pool, like a little bit of competitive pool and stuff like that. And when I'm fucking around with my mates, it's all good, having beers and shit. Like I can smoke most of them, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but I'm just playing and I'm not really on. Yeah. And it's like all of a sudden, if I play someone good, I'm just like, and I'm just like locked in and they're like, where the hell did that come from? Like, the challenge, because you rise to it and it just brings something out of you, Yeah.
And it's exciting, man. And like, I don't know, it's kind of sadistic to want to be stressed. Not that I'm running around pulling my hair out. There's definitely there's a fine line there. You don't want to go over the top, but it's nice to have the pressure sometimes. I really like doing doco work and stuff like that for that reason, because, if you're doing like obdoc stuff where you're always on and you're just recording, you never know when that gold might come out.
Yeah. Especially with documentaries. Yeah. When it just drops and someone like, breaks down or breaks into something and gives you some real source of.
Yeah. So I love that environment because it's like there's no scope for like dropping the ball. You've got to just always be on and
to capture the moment.
Yeah. So that's really fun. And but I mean, I really enjoy the job, man. It's like I've always been interested in it. And I'm feel very fortunate and glad to be contributing to some awesome content, all over the board.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah.
TikToks. Just spent a week filming a TikTok.
You were saying that before we podcasted and very
different, man.
The budget you were saying, I'm just like,
it's pretty hectic, but like it's again, like just one of those things really interesting to kind of not easy as a soundo, because you're shooting vertical instead of horizontal. So, and to make the shots look nice, generally heaps of headroom and stuff like that. So,
just so you can have the aesthetically stuff pleasing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the boom wasn't doing too much. Although Josh, who booms with me, he's awesome and took it really well and did as well as he could. But so new challenges and things like that. It's good. It's great.
And it's interesting to see like that's a market now. It's huge. And to see, I mean, if people are putting that kind of money into a production to do just a TikTok thing, it just shows where the market's going and what the consumers want.
It shows that I know nothing. You know what I mean? Like I say, hold a microphone, man. And, we're doing TikTok? Okay. No worries. Let's do it.
It's crazy, man. Like I've never downloaded the app. I've never even got into it at all. One single bit. I don't know if
we're too old, man.
I know.
We're way too old.
I'm feeling the age, but it's like, but then you see older people getting into that stuff and you're like, what are you doing, man? But what do you got to do? You got to do something to stand out. Like it just takes one thing for the dominoes to fall, and you have your chance in the limelight or, a chance at playing with the big boys, so to speak. So it's like, what do you got to do to get into it? I mean, looks like you got to make a TikTok account.
Exactly.
But it's great. Like I know it evolved from like doing dancing and things like that to like now people. It's just another platform to put videos on. But.
Totally, man. And like the job that we've been doing is it's not typical TikTok. It was very high production value and
which
pretty big team.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's exciting to see, man. You know, like that's it. That I was because it was a drama shoot. You know, like it was scripted content.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it was all full script series of videos, and so really interesting to see like a scripted video go to a platform like that. So whole different way of shooting, but it's there. So let's do it. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Pays the bills though as well. And like you say, you're learning a thing or two doing it.
Yeah.
Adapt or die, right?
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I don't like someone says, hey, we're shooting a TikTok. Like, you want to come work for us? What am I going to do? Nah,
you don't say
TikTok.
No to work.
I'm not
Nah.
Well,
that's the thing that maybe you toss up with first off in the industry from being a crew side of things. It's like creativity and doing what you want compared to being corporate and getting fucking paid.
Yeah.
Like, and that juggling act and you don't want it. How have you found that? Like, because you don't want to lose that creative side, right? Like, I know you love you love creating and still do it. You did a lot of filmmaking stuff earlier on.
Yeah.
Now you say you're doing a lot more sound, and it seems to be a lot more down the line.
Yeah.
Have you felt your creativity stifle in some way, or you still are feeding that into other areas?
I've had I come up with ideas for scripts and stories super irregularly. Like, you know, some people just have heaps of ideas and it's about finding the best one and weeding them out. Like I might come up with an idea once every like couple of years or something, and I don't even know how it happens. Like, so I got a couple of things that I'd really want to get into shooting next year, because I do need to kind of supplement that side of things as well, because like I say, my job's not creative. I do the post side of things, which is really great. I have a few clients and I can do some sound design and that's awesome, man. I really enjoy that, because that's that kind of creative side of things as well. But yeah, I've got to try and make time to write and think about things and think about ideas and developing ideas. Otherwise, it does get kind of dry, because it doesn't matter as a sounder, it doesn't matter whether you're doing a corporate video, a TikTok or a feature film. At the end of the day, the job's the same job. Like it's not like I can get on a short film as a sounder and go, this is creative for me. I'm doing exactly the same thing as I would be if it's some CEO address to a workforce or a feature film or whatever. It's all the same. I'm doing the same job at the end of the day. So I've got to make time, otherwise I start to get the itch, what I mean?
And you don't want to lose that either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know what it's like, and I love that process of talking to people about your ideas. I love pitching when it works. Even to your mates or to whoever.
Well, that's where you got to start.
Like just pitching your idea, and like if you can tell if someone's genuinely jazzed about it. You see that look in their eye. Like Jerry, who we were speaking about earlier, who we're still great friends. Like I kind of pitch him a couple of ideas and he's always great for my ego, because he just gets really into it, and all of a sudden we're talking about we could for this scene, how are you imagining those shots coming around? And that's great. And like, I mean, that's so, like, I don't know, it's my favorite thing to be able to just get jazzed on stuff with people. That's the awesome part about the creative industry though as well, and filmmaking in general, is that, like I said, it's another world, but it's like they understand you're driving straight away, you're on the same wavelength. Well, if an idea is going to work, you're on the same wavelength, right? And you say it's coming in from like the void, from that place that you're just getting these ideas from, and then to be able to conceptualize them and actually reiterate what you're thinking in your mind to somebody else is how you pitch properly, and how you realize if the idea is probably going to work or not, or needs some tweaking. But then it starts to evolve. It actually comes to a form when you're putting it out of here to somebody else. It starts to create life, in itself, and then it's like starts to take something on, and that's when you run with it, right? It's a special thing. Yeah, and it's so exciting. Yeah, like it's just. I find myself just, it's like when you that feeling, like if goosebumps, like when you are with someone and there's a story idea or something that clearly you're both really into, and you've come up with it, like you say, it's out of that void, it's out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, you can get really excited about it. Like, I don't know, it's the best feeling.
It is, yeah. Oh, well, I'm excited to see what that comes about. Then, if you,
look, I'm not going to pitch it on the podcast.
No,
but,
that's all right. No, it's early stages of conception. I understand that. I got a couple of things like I want to do in that regard too. It's just obviously time management, as we were talking about beforehand.
Yeah,
working full-time jobs doing this and trying to get it all moving along. But there's definitely a few productions that I would like to get on, because you apply for the odd thing or whatever, isn't it, from an acting point of view, and it's like they don't always jazz you, you know, like in some of the roles and what have you. And it's just like when you've got the ability to create in your mind, it's just about getting that right team around you, whether it's a small team or whatever, because generally that's what you got to do on the indie side of things. But it's just having that, I think, and that helps with that creativity. Like say you got Jerry there to bounce off of, you have that team of people. That's where something conceptualizes, and then it creates and comes into the bigger thing, and you start, before you know it, like, you know, you're creating, you're on set and you're doing the thing, and then 100%. It's taking on another form. So it's a fantastic part of it. But yeah, that's a lot more of what I would like that I intend to get on with as well, like that artistic side of things. And like I'm huge. I love heist films. Yeah, and I've got a few ideas. You know, I've always got good ideas, but it's just like you got to put them. Yeah, you got to put them forward, and then you got to get them done. You know, and it's at this point too, it's like we're not kids anymore. You know, either. So it's like, if you're making something, you kind of want to have a purpose though as well. Like, but also not so much so, because then you lose the creativity, use the art form. You know, if you're just trying to make something for a certain specific reason, it's kind of like doing a corporate TikTok video. You know, it's not really what you probably originally got in the game to do. You know, you want to be paid, you want to do things, but that creative side is just is what you probably first was what drawed you into this industry.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You've definitely got to stay on top of that and keep up with it for sure.
Yeah, no, that's it. But I mean, speaking of that, you've got the shirt on right now.
Yeah.
Australian Independent Film Festival. Show the people, you know.
There you
go. That's right.
How's that?
This is happening, well, by the time we're going to put this out, this is it's going to be the week of. So, and you've got the festival happening on Friday, Saturday, October 1st and 2nd.
Correct. Friday night starts with international shorts, and we've got an Academy nominated short film.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Oscar nominated, which is awesome. And then all afternoon and evening on Saturday as well. So it's been super interesting, like, because this is the 4th year that we've held the festival. Super interesting seeing what comes, like submissions. So we got nearly 500 short films entered this year. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I feel like, you know, I watch this stuff and it's like, I'm so lucky to be able to watch what everyone else has created. You know what I mean? And I can sit and look at this stuff and feel that same, you know, spark that they felt while they were making it.
Yeah. And also as a viewer, as someone that's consuming the content, right?
Yeah, right. So, and this year was super interesting because, you know, I feel like, I think, I mean, I've done no official research. This is all just me thinking about it. But I have a feeling that COVID might have affected things this year in terms of submissions because...
it would have for sure.
Yeah.
It had to have for people creating content.
Yeah.
Or adapt to survive, right? And do them from home.
Totally,
and you see a lot of those things were coming around like...
Yeah, so we didn't... Like last year and the year before, we got a lot more international films. Like we probably... you know, got an even number of international, so the rest of the world, to Australian films. And this year, I have a feeling because, you know, we weren't as locked down as the rest of the world for the majority of the last year. The Australian content's just shining through. Like we have so much great Australian stuff being made. It's such a shame that we can't enjoy each other's company in person, you know, like, because there's a lot of great stuff from the rest of the country as well. And obviously no one can kind of come to Queensland up to enjoy the festival, which is a real shame, but we're really looking forward to being able to open that door again. But, you know, it's just awesome to be able to celebrate this stuff. Like people are making great stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to, you know, show the cream of the crop as such and a diverse range of stories of a really good quality. I feel so fortunate. And now's the time to kind of get around that, you know, like off what we were saying earlier about support and development. we have found it tough over the last couple of years with the country kind of being locked up. But that's kind of our modus operandi, is getting to a place where we can be self-sufficient and help development of, new film industry here in Southeast Queensland. And, really help foster an organic kind of grassroots process, because from my point of view, especially like when I was going through uni and learning my craft, I felt like it was lacking that kind of grassroots development on a whole. Like I say, Screen Queensland has a bunch of great initiatives and in terms of development and things like that, but I would love to be able to create like a community-based development process where we can all. It just, when you're a new filmmaker, the industry can feel super inaccessible, I think.
Yeah.
And you're so worried about competition and not doing the right thing. Like I said, I sat at uni and I was getting really angry because people couldn't give me the answers to how I get into the industry. If we can as a community develop that grassroots kind of, beginning career process, or even just a community base where we all know each other and can get together, and that would be great. That would be, in my opinion, if the festival over the course of the next 5 years could help develop that and start to build a community, that would be amazing. Yeah. Because I can't stress to you enough, like the content is unreal. Like some of it is jaw-dropping, like the production value, the stories, like everything about it. And it's a shame that we, it's not a shame, but like I just really want to be able to celebrate that as much as we can. And like you've mentioned already today, like that the indie side of things can be tough. It's unwieldy, and you've got to work really hard for no money. And it's all about that creation, and it's all about being together in a team and enjoying the process. And we need to enjoy each other's content as much as we can, I think.
Yeah.
Man. Some of it. So Saturday night, closing night just before the awards, is all Australian films.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say from all over the country, and it's the quality is second to none. There's no reason that like that stuff stands up against films from all over the world, the best of films from all over the world.
Yeah.
So we need to get together and enjoy it and celebrate it.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
It's and I watched a few little thumbnails that you've been posting on the page and everything on Facebook page, and so like there was the egg or whatever. There was that.
The egg party. Yeah.
Is that international? Or is that,
so that's American. That's like an American short.
That was like a 30-second snippet or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I was in it straight away, and I was like, oh wow, these ladies are fantastic.
Yeah,
they're lying on the ground, and it was so emotional. Straight away, I was just like, what are they talking about? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, I was just intrigued.
And this is the thing, man. Like, I am so fortunate to be able to watch all of that stuff and then like create a platform where we can share it. Like the work that's gone into this stuff is crazy. And like, as we all know, we've all done it. It's what you do as anyone who's starting in the industry is putting in the hard yards. So like, I just loved being able to, show that stuff and celebrate it, man. And everything is good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in a situation where I watch every film, and it's the hardest part of it is getting together with the guys, cheers, man, at the festival and deciding what we because we've only got a limited time, right? Like, if we can't show 500 films over a weekend.
No, of course, yeah.
So that's the hardest part, is having to say no to stuff, which is awesome, but we just don't have the minutes in the day. Yeah,
it's pretty tough. And I mean, as you see, if you're getting like 500 odd submissions as well, just internationally, and the Australian stuff is standing out, it's like, that's a huge pool to choose from. And like, I saw obviously a couple of the other short clips as well that were up there. There was the one with the chick that had the irregular shaped hand.
Oh yeah,
or whatever. And I was just like, that was another one. I was just, once again, the lady standing up. Like I was just in there. I was just like, oh, what's this about? Like it's only a short snippet, but I was just like, oh shit, she's carrying this. Like this is interesting. I'm intrigued. I don't know what's going on, but I want to see what's up.
Yeah, and you know, like we get the opportunity to we've got such a diverse slate, like we've just stories from all over the place, all different kinds of things, you know, just different content. It's great, man. You know, like we've got a film from South Australia called Farmers, which is about like 3 aliens that land in the outback and like start a farm. We've got, you know, like,
awesome.
And again, like the production value is next level. Like it's cinematic. It sounds great, looks great. Like it's an amazing film. And just, I mean, I want to list every film, you know what I mean? But
just to highlight it. Yeah.
And Jeremy and I, so Jeremy is kind of the co-founder of the festival. And we run the thing together, and
we'll say Jeremy Rigby, right? Because the audience Jeremy with Jeremy Reese Hill.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, so different Jeremy. And yeah, he's really on the money. He's the one telling me like, no, we can't have a 3.5 hour screening session. I can't help myself. And he's like,
because you see the art in it, the purest form of it, and you want to showcase.
I don't want to take that away from him. Jeremy also sees all that stuff. You know, he's just like he's looking at the clock and going like, man, you know, we've got to pick the best of the best, and we've got to make the decisions, and it's tough. But yeah, it's such a fun process. And then being able to come together, you know, like we will this weekend and just enjoy the films, like it's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, being able to, we've got a doco session as well, which is really good. So we've got a dedicated documentary session, lots from Australia again, which is awesome, and then a couple from around the world. So you get a real glimpse into like real stories from all over the place, which is great, and a whole load of different, you know, themes and ideas there as well. You don't get the opportunity regularly to sit down and watch a selection of really good films that are going to make you laugh, cry, make you jump, make you think, all in the space of 2 hours, and it's stuff that you're never going to see anywhere else.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you might be able to find them on YouTube down the track or things like that.
But will
like,
you though?
Yeah, it's a unique experience. And I love being able to, you know, host that and champion these people and just have a good time, couple of beers and enjoy some films.
Yeah, and that's it. And getting together too, like as a networking point of view, but getting together to actually to watch this content, you know, and be moved, as you say, from it. And from an artistic standpoint, they can be very inspiring, you know, to watch this stuff. And because I remember going through, you know, like you say you network early on, like that's what you get told to do, you know, like as an actor, to meet these directors and producers or whoever's around. But that was my favorite part. Like I like talking to people, obviously. But it's just seeing that content and like I've always loved art form, and I see art in everything, you know, and my interpretation of it isn't necessarily what the interpretation was of the person creating it. But that's the thing about art, is that you can make your own from it, you know, you can be inspired in your own ways. And I think seeing these things, it definitely does that to you and it inspires you to go out there and do something for yourself and like, oh man, I want to be in this festival next year. You know, I want to hope to get that, or if I'm not in this one, I want to put it out there and get on other ones so I can do this for somebody else, you know. And it's that reoccurring cycle of like giving back, you know, and inspiring others and pushing each other forward to create something different and thought-provoking and inspiring. It's a special thing.
One of my favorite things about the festival, and it surprises me every year, and it shouldn't surprise me, but I'm very forgetful, I guess, but is like after each session going out to the lobby or the bar or wherever, you know, and just listening, being a weirdo and listening to people's conversations and hearing people discussing the films, like at the end of the day, that's a win, right? Like if you can hold a festival where people will hang around after the session to have a drink or just chill or whatever, and they'll sit, talk to people they maybe haven't met before or the group of mates they've come with, and discuss like, oh, what was your favorite? I really liked this one because of X, Y, Z, but this one was also great. This one made me feel like this. Like, I don't know. I find that so addictive to be able to, like I love doing that with other people. It's like what we're saying, it's that spark. It's like what's fun about life, you know, being able to get jazzed about things with people and, you know, and so, yeah, I really, like that's my favorite bit, you know, like when everyone's like, and people, you know, will come up and say, thanks to Jeremy and I, and like, that was awesome. Like we would not have seen anything like that if, you know, if we didn't come today. We just wouldn't have had exposure to stuff like that. But we've sat in an awesome dark theater with great sound system, like I say, with a beer or a wine or whatever, and we've had an experience, and you know we can. And I think, you know, like it's just awesome, man. So much fun.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Actually, I was looking at it and I was like, you know what, I need to come to this.
Yeah, definitely.
I was thinking, I'm like, I'll drag, you know, talk to a couple of mates in the industry and see if they're interested in coming along, because it's hard to get yourself out there to do these things sometimes. When you know, the way of life. But it's like, I mean, I encourage people to go out there and check it out, because from what I saw this morning, which I've seen a few of the thumbnails come through before and watched some of the videos, and I was just like, this is good. This is good quality content. And obviously I want to support you and what you guys are doing in the industry. So I'll be there. Like I'll come along one of the nights, or if I can make both of them, you know, but I'll try and get a couple of people involved. But I just think it's a fantastic thing. And I remember when you started it. And it's just to see that kind of quality of the content coming through internationally. It's funny because I noticed too, like on the festival circuit, a lot of people love submitting to Australian film festivals, you know, because Australians get that notoriety on, like on big, say your Margot Robbies or anyone, like Hugh Jackman or whoever you want to name, like big actors. That are in the spotlight. It shines something back on where they came from, you know, and why they're good at what they do, and what else is there, you know, what other uncut gems are like they're ready to develop, you know. And it's just amazing to see that, and we should showcase it. And I mean, if you're getting that content, I think it's an awesome thing if people are submitting internationally, I think, to Australia. I think that shows something coming back, you know, rather than Australians going out there and trying to submit to all the LA film festivals or anything in America, you know, because that's notoriety back here to say that I got into the LA Film Fest or I got into this or that, you know. It's cool to have that level up, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
and like, you know, these films have been nominated for Oscars, and we're getting submissions.
That's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah,
that's got to taste quite nice.
It does, but at the end of the day, the film's great. You know what I mean? Like it's a given, you know? So I don't know. I just find it's super exciting. And I do, like, the same time of the year every year, I love it when it comes around. Stressful and like, you know, I'm pretty sure that's why I've got no hair left anymore. Hence I wear a hat indoors. But you know, like it's just, it's really is addictive. And like, again, just being able to talk to people about films and just see people's enjoyment. And it's always a surprise as well. Like, again, another awesome thing about having, you know, we've got a 2-hour, each screening session is a couple of hours. So we might play 10, 13 films or however many it is in the screening session. Like, it's always a surprise talking to people about what they liked. Because I kind of obviously go into it going like, well, I think that one's, you know, I like that one the most, and this one's great, and this one's great. And then, you know, you talk to someone, like I'll talk to people who've come to the festival for the first time maybe, and I don't know them from a bar of soap, and, you know, I'll ask what their favorite was, and it's something completely left field, which I didn't even think about in my top 3, but it's what's made them tick, you know. So that's a unique experience as well. Like, you know, they're all great films, but you know, it's just awesome to be able to talk to people about that.
And that's the thing with short films as well, right? Because Oh, what is your cutoff length for the short film submission?
We actually went a bit longer this year, so we went up to 35 minutes.
Okay, which is long for
it's really
because there's a
long.
lot that only do 5 to 7 minutes, right, or something like that. Which I'm always like, I don't know what your standpoint is on this, but like short film, I mean, I guess if you can show that impact in that time, I like something a little lengthier, you know, even for a short, you know, I feel it's hard to tell a story in under 15 minutes. You can do it. Well, for sure.
You know, man, like, so over the course of 4 years, I'll have watched, you know, near on 2,500 short films.
Yeah.
So I feel like not a font of wisdom on the matter, but I've watched a lot. So I kind of feel like I'm getting a vibe for what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
And some films deserve to be 35 minutes long, you know what I mean? And some some don't.
Yeah.
But are.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, that's my interpretation, and that's the art behind it.
Do you see a sweet spot then in that regard?
I don't. My comment is I don't think it exists.
No, I don't think you can when it comes to art, right?
Well,
I'm just interested, to see if there is in your 2,500 short film experience.
I'll put it this way: like the majority of films that we're screening are between 10 and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But like I say, we opened it up because, well, first of all, people were saying like, oh, we'd love to submit, but our film's like just outside the cutoff.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes like we've got a couple of films that are over 20 minutes this year.
Yeah.
You know, not getting up to 25, which is long, you know, like that's a long film. But at the end of the day, like their story is a 25-minute story. We've got films that are 2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're great films. You know, but the filmmakers have gone, this is just a 2-minute story, and they've nailed that 2-minute story, and it's fantastic.
If you can nail it in 2 minutes, then that's fantastic.
Right. And it doesn't necessarily, well, I mean, they're structured stories. They're just super limited in cast and location, and it's a small message and a small story as opposed to a, you know, sprawling epic of a short film or whatever. So I don't like to, like, again, I can't give any advice because I don't think there is a cut and dry answer with it. But I think the biggest thing when you're making a short film is to just know what it needs to be and try and limit it to what it needs to be for that story to be as effective as possible. But that's a super hard thing because, you know, some films are built on atmosphere and slow. You know, some films might need loads of establishing shots and just to get the tone across, and that might take a few minutes in the beginning of the film to get your tone across so that then you can tell the story effectively after that. But, you know, like I guess I like when a film comes in at the last moment it needs to come in, so we don't get too much extraneous information or anything like that. But again, like there's no rules. It's like, you can tell, like, when a film, you can just, like I say, the amazing thing about being able to watch so many films is just seeing the process that's gone into them. And we know, you and I both know about what goes into them.
Yeah.
It's hard work. And when there's no money behind it, which is the case for, I'd say, 99% of the films coming through to us, it's passion project. And it's fun. And, you know, like, that it just means that it's been hard work and it's been totally on, you know, the ideas of a few people that have got together and decided they want to write this story because it means something to them. So it's, like I say, I see it as kind of an honor that I get the opportunity to watch all this stuff and just see the thought processes of different filmmakers from all over the world, you know, like, could be in the middle of Africa or from Perth or from right here in Brisbane, and just see, what people are thinking and what's making people tick. And, you know, obviously there's different vibes every year. Like, there's a lot of COVID stuff this year.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you think in what is it been affected because of obviously the way and the capabilities of being able to shoot during a pandemic and things like that?
100%.
Has it shaped the stories and the overall what they're trying to do, with the stories and everything, or has it just been like a limited capacity in order to shoot these the reasons behind it, or do you feel in an expressive way
a bit of both.
They've like gone at the whole?
Yeah.
Has there been any of those that are like eye-catching, like as in like, things shouldn't be locked down the way they are, or like, like going at the man, in an artistic format?
It's interesting. I think, our cutoff was end of July for submissions from memory. So I feel like we might have time-wise avoided a lot of the kickback kind of politics side of things, which... Again, not to get too political, but I'm glad. I'm glad that I've avoided that. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm glad. Like it becomes quite tiring. But I think in terms of the content, COVID kind of has. I mean, it's unavoidable. It's been in the zeitgeist for the last 18 months. Like it's all we've been talking about.
It's affect something. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So yes, it affects especially the international films because for our submission period, a lot of the rest of the world was locked up and couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So on a practical level, it's affected the films.
Yeah.
Which is cool, man. Like things have been done differently. It's been really interesting to see how people have gone around that to create and not be, they've still expressed themselves and written stories and created stories, even given like the huge limitations that have been on all of us. But also, obviously it's all we've been speaking about and thinking about and living. So it's unavoidable that that's going to seep into creation and storytelling.
Yeah.
And like, and that comes through in a whole breadth of execution. Like some of them are literally about being locked at home during a pandemic, and some of them are a bit more metaphorical. So that idea of like being trapped or imprisoned and trying to figure out kind of what your life's about when, you can't go and live your life as you usually would.
Suppressed way of living. Yeah.
Like we've all had to think about that, right? Cheers, mate. We've all had to think about like what's going on, like who are we, what do we want to be doing, because we've all of a sudden been granted this time to actually sit and think. And I mean, we've, again, in the film industry here, we've been very fortunate, and we've had all the processes that have been in place have meant that we can all keep working and keep working a lot, which has been great. But especially 2020, like, that 6-month period there where things were a bit hairy, like we did have to sit and have a think about what
we're doing.
Yeah. Like, what are we?
What's my purpose?
What's the point here?
What am I doing with my life? And the time, the very little time that I have to make an impact on what I'm doing. Am I just living the life in the machine as a cog, so to speak, and not a creative standpoint of just being a cog?
Yeah.
In everyday life, and like, what do I want out of it?
Yeah.
What do I want to express? What do I want to achieve? What am I passionate about?
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah. So everything you just said, I feel, has been expressed this year. I've felt that whilst we've been watching these films. Lots of films actually, now you put it like that, lots of films about like artistic, like integrity, I guess. The idea of like being a performer or an artist and that maybe, and a roadblock being thrown in the way of that and dealing with that, which I have a feeling stems from being an artist and being locked up and not being able to be an artist anymore.
It's from a way of life from back in the day, man. I think that's where art was birthed, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Because back in the day, you were so suppressed, like the Roman rulers or anyone that was ruling a society, you had the misfits, the outcasts, which were sometimes used as entertainment, as jesters or things like this to entertain the king or the queen or whatever the royalty was, the hierarchy at times. They were there for that reason, right? But also they were there to inspire. You would see those little trick show alleyway shows that were like trying to get a hidden message out to inspire the poor to uprise against the rich, or in those realms. And I think it brings it right back to where art was created. And I think that's where the best art comes from, is that time to reflect and on the oppression of things and the way of living, you know, and how are we going to move this forward? How are we going to inspire the rest of us to collectively move in an area where we can all succeed?
Yeah. And I think that's so important at the moment because of what we're seeing around the country. Like, people are unhappy. And again, it's not the platform to make a comment on that kind of stuff, on my opinion, I don't think, but there are a lot of people that aren't happy. And I think, you know, artists play a huge part in commentary around that. You know, like, we've all got a kind of responsibility on many levels in a time like this. And I feel like, as I say, being able to enjoy these films and feel that zeitgeist, you know, like the just everything that's been talked about and been going on, feel that coming through in these films. It's super, super cool to be able to see how artists are choosing to make comments on what's going on and the world and the state it's in at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, man. Well, I mean, I hope it goes. I mean, it sounds like it's been a success anyway, like for you, you know, along the years and like I say, being able to show a bunch of great films like that ticks my boxes. Yeah. You know, like I'm confident every year, you know, like it's just an awesome program. Yeah. And that's not a flex. I just get really jazzed that people are making awesome stuff and are happy to share it with us. And then we can share it on their behalf, you know, in front of an audience so we're at Metro Arts this year, which is a new Metro Arts used to be in the city, but that building got kind of bought out and they've moved into West End now. Okay. So they've got a new facility there and it's an awesome little theatre. So we're really excited to be back with those guys after a year off. So yeah, just being able to sit down in a cool little art space in a theatre down there in West End, and like, you know, what better place in Brisbane to, you know, get bohemian. Pretty artsy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so the city, yeah.
Yeah, so like, yeah, I feel like it's a win already, and I just can't wait to hang out with everyone who's keen to come down and enjoy some films.
Yeah. I look forward to it, man. Yeah. Get down there, have a couple of beers.
Oh, mate, that's the best.
Enjoy, indulge.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
That's right, yeah. No, it's fantastic. I mean, is that what's basically, by the sounds of it, I mean, it basically answers itself, this question, but that's why you started this? You just wanted to showcase?
Yeah, it's to showcase and celebrate, man. Like, you know, Jeremy and I met Jeremy, he produced a film and I cut it, I edited it before I did Grind, and you ruined all my dreams in other departments.
Your artistic standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. So I cut his film and it worked out quite well. And then I cut a trailer for him for Backyard Film Festival.
Okay, yeah.
And that got chosen for Backyard, which was really great. And I was proud of that. You know, I was really green at that point. Like, I was learning a lot, and I was really proud of the trailer. It worked quite well. And yeah, Jeremy and I went to Backyard and had a couple of beers, and I think we were just mates after that. And then, yeah, he hit me up one day and said, I've had this idea, because he from his point of view, I think he was he's just looking around and going like, I've got a load of friends who are making stuff and just want to show it. Yeah. You know, like, why don't we all just get together as mates at a cinema and put our films on and like exactly the same thing, have a couple of beers, enjoy the films, have a chat about them, and it's a night, you know? Yeah. So I think in his head that kind of expanded into this thing like, why don't we do that for
everyone?
Yeah. Why don't we enjoy everyone's films? And you know, so we've got it's funny though, because it's kind of, we've separated those two ideas. So we're really kind of harsh on the idea of like mates. And if either of us have worked on a film, then it's an instant, like, we have to kind of say we can't show it. Yeah. You know, it's just one of those things, because we really don't want any conflicts of interest in that.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but like I've been to some like film events, short film events where there is a vibe of that, like,
where they're just showing their films and their friends' films.
Kind of, yeah. And like, I'm not pointing any fingers. This feels like a long time ago now, This is probably while I was at uni, and my attitudes were all different back then. But yeah, so we've focused on this idea of going like no personal kind of objectives, just picking the best films and showcasing them.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've really enjoyed that process. Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, I mean, yeah. No, I can see why you'd take that standpoint. Yeah. It's just, it's fantastic, man. I think what you guys are doing, and I've seen it grow over the years, and that's why it's really cool. And like, to be honest, I haven't been to one yet, so that's why I'm like, man, I got to go to this one. Like, so it's been a while since I've been to a festival. To be quite honest with you,
and
premiere was probably the last time I went to a premiere of like a film that I was involved in. Was the last time I went to something like that. And it's like, mingling and being a part of that environment and talking to your people, and just throwing the ideas around, like you say, about the films, it brings the proverbial juices, flowing in, and you're just like, oh man, I need to make something like that, and that's what it's supposed to do, showcase and inspire. Yeah. That's what art's supposed to do, It's an expression.
And that's all we care about.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that's all we care about, but that is just the driving force behind it. Like we're not going for anything else other than celebrating amazing films and bringing people along. As many people who are happy to come on that journey with us, we're going to bring along and enjoy, just enjoy it together. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, it'd be awesome to see you down there, man.
Yeah, no, I'll be there, bro. I'll talk to you after and see what night. No, I mean, both nights would be great to go to, but I mean,
again, man, like, this might sound like marketing speak, but like I'm terrible at marketing speak. I'm so bad at it, but there's just no bad time to come. Yeah. Like if you had Friday, Saturday all free, I'd say come to the whole lot, man, because there's not a letdown in there. Like sometimes like if you're curating something or whatever, and you might, or like, even if you're showing your mates like a new song you're into, you've got that sense of like, oh, I really like this, but they might not. I feel like with the festival, year after year, it's the one kind of space in which, like, we're curating a bunch of films, but I feel confident that I could recommend any session, and you're going to get a different thing out of all of them, but it's going to be rad nonetheless. Yeah. So Friday night is around the world. So we start in Australia with an Australian film called Love Club, which is opening the festival, and the team from Love Club are coming down to kind of open that screening session for us and open the festival. And then we start with that, then go around the world, and then we finish with an Australian film that night. And then Saturday, session 1 is docos, and we've got a Q&A we've got 2 Brisbane-based docos in that session, so we've got a Q&A with each of those teams. Yep. And then Saturday is another around the world concept, start in Australia, around the world, back in Australia, and then Saturday night is all Australian films and then the awards afterwards.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so whatever you're keen for, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assure you, like, there'll be stuff that will provoke and get you thinking.
Sounds great. Yeah, I'm highly considering coming to both. Yeah, I'll talk to a couple of mates and we'll see what we can.
Yeah, for
going.
Sure, man.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, but thanks for having a chat with me about it.
No, it's awesome to have you on here, bro, and get your perspective on the industry as well at the moment and everything going on. So
yeah, I mean, it's great. It's good for a lot of people, and like I say, I just hope that it can carry on like this, and we can all.
But I think you've created it. You and Jeremy have created it for the purpose that art was there for. Like it sounds like you've created it to showcase, and that's the fundamental of why you create something, because you want people. First, you want to do it, and you want to see your initial idea like conceptualized and take its own form on, and whatever it is, it creates it and it be. But at the end of the day, all artists want their work to be seen.
Yeah.
Most artists do. They want people to see what it is and, like for it to be out there, and like, people like you that are creating these platforms for it to be seen. It's fantastic, man. And there needs to be more of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get too philosophical with it, but like, what is art if people can't consume it? You know, like there's the whole idea of it.
It's just expression, isn't it? And I guess that is art, but there's two. I mean, for art to come for its full circle, it has to be, thought up of, made. It's an expression, but then on the other end, it needs to be interpreted by the person that is viewing the content or seeing whatever it is. That's where it goes full circle, because it inspires something in them. It creates an emotion, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is, art is supposed to create an emotion, whether you fucking hate it or you love it or you're inspired by it or whatever it fires up in you. That's the art right there.
Yeah, and the arts. We in film have had it pretty good the last year, but in terms of the rest of the arts, it's been pretty dire. Because so much art is about getting in a space together and enjoying it, and we can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to life kind of getting back to normal again, and I feel like Jeremy and I are just trying to do our bit on that front to help that circle kind of come to fruition, man.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, do you have to have things in place? COVID sort of protocols? Is there anything like what's going on
Metro, there? This is going to sound. Metro Arts have actually. They're amazing. They've handled all of this stuff.
Okay.
They've made it super easy for us. So I don't want to be quoted on this, but I may have heard that. I don't know. I don't even know if we'll need masks inside. And I think it's full capacity, so it's it's going to feel like a normal event, you know what I mean? Which is really exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's little things that we kind of can't do, and the biggest thing that I wish we could kind of invite people from interstate, filmmakers and things like that. Like the first couple of years were amazing. First year we had a guy, a jet came over from. In the Philippines, and he brought his he's a Grammy winner. So we had a Q&A, and he brought his Grammy over, and like,
oh shit,
yeah, like how crazy is that, man?
Yeah.
And he's gone on to win an Oscar as well, and which is insane, man.
Yeah. Right.
So we got to have a Q&A with him, and like these guys came over from Ireland and some people from Russia. And then, the second year there were people coming from all over Australia to see their films. And, that's awesome as well. Like being able to talk to new filmmakers who are just stoked that an audience has sat down and watched their film.
Yeah.
And it's the same feeling I get. Like as a new filmmaker, if you kind of stand around in the lobby and hear people discussing what you've made, whatever they're saying about it, that's exciting. And that's, that is the full circle. You hear other people discussing what you've created, and all of a sudden you can go, oh, cool. Like we can take some of that stuff into the next one, or So that's a shame, and that's obviously that's unavoidable. But hopefully again, like this time next year, we'll be back to normal. But I think that's why it's so important that we do support that sort of stuff now, like why not come and enjoy the films and support those guys from afar, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So have you, so I guess none of them have, no one can really come.
Well, it's just not happening.
Yeah. So have you got a decent amount of local content from Brisbane?
Yeah. We've got heaps of, like we got a film from up in Bundaberg, which is my hometown, which is really awesome. Great film called Home by a guy called James Latter. We've got a few from down here. Love Club so the guy's opening the festival. That's a Brizzy film, and then a few more Brisbane.
I think that might have been one of the little shorts that I saw. Like that you put up. That might have been the first one I saw. The recent one that's been posted. I think.
Great acting, delicately told story. Like just a really nice film, man.
Yeah.
Confronting, but not just really well told story. So and then on the Saturday night we've got a few Brisbane films as well.
Yeah.
Which again is so exciting. Like there's just the quality, man. The quality coming from people around us that, you don't necessarily, they're not, we might not have heard of them. They're not, definitely not kind of like celebrities in the industry or whatever. They're just kicking off with everything, really. And the quality that they're making already at a young age, fresh to the industry, like, man, we should be all sitting around and going like, that's amazing, and we should be learning from each other. And when I was at uni, I found that was quite limited.
Because it was competitive?
Yeah, it is competitive. And there is, I don't know if, it's always perspective. I don't know if the competition's kind of like, if I'm not experiencing that competition as much anymore because I feel like I've found my feet a little bit, or whether there's just so much work going around that people don't need to be competitive anymore. You know what I mean? And acting must be the other end of the scale, man. Like, that's a different, it's obviously the same industry, but it's such a different process, the whole thing. Like, it literally, an audition is a competition in some ways, if you look at it like that.
Yeah. But you don't want to look at it like that because you're going to, it depends what your, what perks you, what makes you get your best out of you. Obviously, I'm a competitive person, but I don't feel like that ever helps you in this game. I've got to be honest.
I agree.
I'm a highly fucking competitive person at anything I do and play or whatever. Like, it's on. Like, no matter what it is, you're going to get me up at here if someone challenges me to do something. But with acting, you're challenging yourself.
Yeah.
And you're seeing what you're made of. And that's a scary thing in itself. Sometimes, but it's very hard. And it's like, if you see it, and which you will do when you first start doing it, more than likely is that you are competing against all these other people in the room, and that fucking psychs you out straight away.
Yeah.
Because you're taking yourself out of yourself, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to do that because you can be too far up in your own head, which I've definitely been guilty of at times. But also it just, all you can focus is on doing the best job you possibly can, being settled, learn your lines, which is, the fundamental thing. Understand the character, understand where you're coming from and where you're going to in a scene, and go in there and leave it all in the room. That's it in an audition process. But when you're actually acting, like, it's a different thing because you shouldn't feel any real competition, I don't think, but that's just my point of view, because you're all there creating something, a collective coming together and creating something awesome, And you shouldn't, but I mean, there's probably people that have a completely different perspective on it, that jazzed up in a different way to be the best that they can too. Maybe it's not, but I mean, I know I'm a competitive person, and I don't think you can put that into the film game, I don't think that works.
Yeah.
Other than to drive you to be better behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But when you actually go to do the damn thing, I don't think so, because like, you kind of got to leave your ego at the door, But also, I guess there's confidence and belief as well, which can be stemmed from a little bit of ego as well. Like, so it's a juggling act, man. Like, acting's tough.
Yeah, I do not envy
tough,
you, man.
Yeah. Like, it's you putting everything out there, everything on the line to be judged.
Yeah,
by
literally
the jury and the executioner. And sometimes you're your own jury and executioner, and you've cut your own head off before you've even got to the hearing itself,
Yeah.
And it's just such a juggling act, man. It's hard. It's real tough.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys do it. Like, literally every step of the process seems like a nightmare to me. Like the whole, like auditioning sounds like it sucks, and then you've got to go act in front of a whole crew and cast or a theater full of people watching. So you got to act in front of that while on a film set, everything's going on around you. Like, it's nuts. You've got to get mic'd up. There's people talking to you in every ear. Like, you've got to act in front of those people. You've got to trust your director, even though in your head you might be thinking, oh, I really wanted to take it this other way. I think that's better. And I've got to put that away and try and do this other thing. And then at the end of it all, you are printed on film, and you can be watched in that role for the rest of time. and it's every step of the way you're getting judged, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, man.
Yeah.
There's a sound I sit back and I sit in a quiet corner with my headphones on and shout out speeding, sometimes, and that's enough. Yeah, that's my exposure.
That's your shine. Yeah,
yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah. When you put it like that, it's a daunting prospect.
Man, no, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's a lot to get over, but I think like anything, it's just experience, right? You get on those sets early on, you start off in a laid back role, like an extra gig. You see what's the best thing you can do is just take it all in around you when you're an extra and you're trying to understand what's going on. But when you're an actor, you want to take in what's happening around you, as in performance based, I guess, being a polite person, being humble and everything. But once it's like in that zone, you got to be locked in, and that stuff is just like a murky background, like a fine close-up shot where everything else is blurred in the background. That's kind of the way you got to see it. And it's a hard thing to switch on and off.
And that's the other side to it. Yeah,
it is hard when everything's going on around, but it's like you kind of got to. Sometimes you just got to walk away from it, and just take 5 and just get in your zone and whatever you have to do. Everybody has different techniques in that regard, to ground yourself, breathing exercises, mantras that they say to themselves, whatever it is, and then you go in and you go to do the damn thing. But it's just like, it's funny because if you're not quite there and settled and grounded, someone saying the wrong thing can totally upset you probably as well.
Yeah.
And that's, I think what you said there is, like that's one of the hard things that I had to deal with, midway point, early on, whatever, is you see the role in a certain way. You want to play it in a certain way. You've done all this research and building up of the character and why he does what he does in this scene and everything that they go about, and the director just throws you a curveball and like, I don't see it like that. You want to do it that way, and then you got to lose it all and throw it all away. That was a real big learning curve for me because I'm like OCD, perfectionist. So I've done the groundwork of what I thought, and I've built this whole fucking world around this character, and why he's here and why he's doing what he does in every little bit. And then it's like, oh no, just throw that away for a minute and try this.
Yeah.
You're like, what? You're having a spastic moment in your mind, but you have to, because you've got to be open to it. You've got to be able to completely get rid of that and go down this other kind of, but also still keep the whole idea of your character. Like, exactly.
Man. Like, I always thought that I'd like to have a crack at acting, and then the more I've worked and the more I've seen what a good actor is, I'm like, I don't know who I was kidding. Like, you guys work so hard, and like, so all that you do all of this, all of that stuff I just mentioned whilst you're being someone else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not being yourself. All that stuff that I said, that whole list of audition, shooting, then it's on film, that's hard. That's like, damn, right? Like, you're just being yourself. You're like, what? And instead you're John, who has 3 kids, and a wife and a whole different life.
Yeah.
And you've got to embody that. Like, crazy, man.
Yeah, but it's also when you come to understand it a little bit, you're playing aspects of yourself,
Right.
But you're channeling it into another character that is not yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like when you watch it personally, if like a lot of people don't like to watch what they do, and I understand that. And that's something to really get over at the start when you're first filmmaking. You're like, oh, I don't want to see that on camera, because you're seeing all these things. You're like, do I really sound like that? Do I look like that when I do it?
Yeah.
And it's like, but when you understand yourself and understand characters, it's like, you can see certain parts of yourself in these characters that you're playing along. And it's like, even when you see like A-list actors, and they're playing a role of like, look, I'm going to use Tom Hardy, for example, and like doing Bane.
Yep.
And you see aspects of that Bane character, what really fucking worked for him and he was terrific in. You see aspects of that in all the characters afterwards that he's played. Like whether it's somewhat of a turn of the voice or just a look or something, you're just like kind of seeing that. And it's like, so is that this thing of Hardy that he's captured? Or is it this thing of Bane that he's captured and it's just working for everything? And it's just like, and you start to see it and it's like, Yeah, I don't know. It's a funny thing, eh?
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess maybe I've consumed too much Tom Hardy, but to say that, but you can definitely see it in people and in actors, yeah.
You said the words Uncut Gems earlier. Have you seen the movie?
Yes,
Man,
fantastic.
He's a classic as well for that. Sandler, like.
I saw your mind turn a little bit when I said Uncut Gems.
I love the Safdie brothers are like amazing.
Yeah, I can see why you'd vibe with it.
Oh, like Good Time is something else, and Uncut Gems.
Good Time. I don't know if what's that.
So that's Robert Pattinson. That's the Safdie. So the Safdie brothers directed Uncut Gems, and the movie they made before that is Good Time.
Okay.
Also on Netflix.
I don't know if I've seen that shit.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson is with his brother who's got a mental disability, and they go to rob a bank, and his brother gets caught. So it's all about Robert Pattinson.
Maybe I have seen that actually.
Getting his brother out of prison.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my man, it's one of the best movies of all time.
Okay.
Just like
I'll have to watch it. Yeah, if I haven't.
Just standard. I mean, say standard. I don't want to underplay it, but it's just a classic like conflict based movie. Every step that Robert Pattinson's character takes to fix a problem creates a bigger problem, which he then has to fix, and it just escalates and escalates. Really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sandler, back to my point, Sandler is, he's clearly Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
But we've never seen him like that before. You know what I mean?
He's
like,
fantastic.
He's unreal, right?
That film fucked me up, man, when I was watching it, dude.
Yeah.
I fucking sat there and watched it by myself.
Oh, dude.
And I was all in the roller coaster.
Yeah.
I was freaking out. I was anxious. I was sweaty palms. I was like, fuck, do I need to turn this off for a moment?
Yeah.
Because it's freaking me out. I got to keep going with this ride. Like, I got to know where it's going to end up. And it's a crazy, well done film, and it shows his full scope of acting without any real comedic notion, which he's absolutely known for.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. And it's just the ending and just how it's all over the place.
Those guys are just the masters of creating. I've never watched such a stressful movie. And,
neither. I don't think I have either.
You can watch a movie, something like, let's say, Hereditary. Have you seen that? It's a horror movie with Toni Collette.
No, it's what someone told me the other day. Literally last weekend, I was having this conversation with someone, and they told me to watch that.
Oh, you should watch it,
because I said
man.
I've watched nearly everything worth watching in the last 20 years, which I honestly feel like I almost have.
Yeah.
But someone mentioned that, and I'm like, what the hell?
It's a really good movie.
I got to watch it.
So that's Ari Aster directed that, wrote and directed it, and it's like I don't want to reveal anything because the movie plays out beautifully, but it's a horror movie, right? And it's extremely stressful. Like the way that things play out is like far out, like it's not like a jump scare horror movie. It's more like psychological, and it's just nuts.
Which they get me more than what a
and it's kind of got culty vibes to it, right? So that stuff's always good. But like even that, you've got a horror movie with horrific things happening, and it's designed to be stressful.
Yeah.
Yet Uncut Gems was just another level. Like they just know how to shoot tight, get their sound design is so unreal. Like they just create the most stressful sound design, and like everything's always happening. And even then they are able to come away from those stressful, noisy, loud, busy situations into like a quiet family
They slow
gathering.
it down, with bringing the same emotion from one scene to the next, and you're just like,
the whole thing,
you're gripping your hands. Hey, like
even when everything quiets down and you're in a normal family situation, you're still like on the edge of your seat, like this doesn't feel right. Like something's
it's the roller coaster ride of that character that you're just on board with from word go, and you're just like, stop doing it, man.
Yeah.
Just stop doing what you're doing and just stop.
That's the other thing they're really good at, because Good Time's the same. They create a character who you should not back.
Yeah.
And like, he's a gambler in Uncut Gems. Yeah. It's literally like he's the unbackable
and a little
gambler.
Connor, right? Yeah.
And yet they've created a film where you back him. You're like, yep, he's got it. He's going to nail it.
You're
and
in
you
the
want
humility
him to win.
of that character and the most piece of shit character almost going around.
He makes mistake after mistake.
Yeah.
He's a bit of an asshole, but it's
fucks
still
over his family, but it doesn't really seem to care. Got a mistress on the side, and then you're all about that. And
and then they have those endings where they throw it back at you and go, "This is the guy that you wanted to win this whole time. Have a look at yourselves."
Yeah.
You know, it's like just unreal filmmaking.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And that chick that's the supporting actress in it, like first actual acting role for her.
Yeah, crazy.
I've listened to her on a podcast, like talk about it, and just and they found her, those guys, like they got her in there. They're a friend of a friend, like got her to read the lines for it, and she ended up getting it, and she had done nothing.
Yeah, how good is that?
Yeah, and she's fantastic, and it's like. And one of those things too, after all the stuff he's done, you find out he's got a wife and kids and he's messing around with this chick and he's like, and she's like, you're not even sure what her motives are. She doesn't really seem to have his best motives in mind. She's trying to up her game and get in the biz and she's just put the weekends in it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, and he does whatever he does. And then I think he gets thrown in the trunk of the car too at the recital of like his kids' play. And
with no pants, right?
Yeah, gets out of that snow and then goes to that club, man. And it's like, you should not be rooting for this guy at this point. But they go into that club and he's like messing around backstage. She's with like the weekend and he loses his shit. And you're just like, oh my God, like it's just fantastic.
It is, man.
Across the board.
It is. And then, like I say, they just have that way of, drawing you in so hard to a character that sucks. And then throwing it back at you at the end and kind of making you reflect on you. Like you literally finish those. Good Time is exactly the same. You finish those movies and go, I can't believe for the last 2 hours I've wanted that person to win this game. Yeah, you know, like I have been sucked in and spat out. Yeah, like crazy.
That's filmmaking, man.
Yeah, those guys are geniuses, dude. And next, I'm thinking of Ari Aster. So Ari Aster, who made Hereditary, and then he made a movie called Midsummer, which is another kind of culty horror. He's
is that not the ones who are on Netflix?
Yeah, they both were. They're both on Netflix.
Midsummer, but was that the couple of films that tied in together that they recently released or not on there? There's like. No, I'm maybe thinking of something different.
Midsummer was a standalone thing. I don't think.
Okay, no.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But he's moving on to like a comedy next, which is so weird. Okay. Like he's made. I haven't seen Midsummer yet, but by all accounts, it's a really great horror movie. And now he's just like moving on to a comedy.
Well, that's the other spectrum of it, isn't it?
Yeah, he kind of seems like a bit of a Danny Boyle character, you know, like like Danny Boyle did Train Spotting and 28 Days Later and Slumdog Millionaire. Like, look at those three movies.
Yeah,
as a director, not relate
to each other,
right? So,
but if you probably looked at the finer points of it, they probably do. There's probably an underlying story that, like, you can see why they were drawn to making that film, and it's still got their style and
signature
to it. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see Ari Aster's kind of vibe when he's coming up with comedies.
Yeah, for sure.
So man.
That's exciting.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, man. It's that being able to talk about art is just unreal, and you find out things that people like and don't like, and that helps you kind of figure out what you like and don't like, and that's just really exciting.
It is, and I think from an artist perspective is that we can be sometimes like very self-isolated as well with our own stuff because we go through a range of emotions of things, and sometimes we can be really reserved, and then when we're ready to share stuff, we go out there and we do the damn thing and put it out there, and then can judge our own work very harshly as well, and all the things we do. But when you're in a realm like this, and this is what I love about doing the podcast, getting entertainers on, filmmakers, whatever, is that there's not often that you get to lock into a conversation for an hour or two and just talk about this kind of thing. And it jazzes you up, and it's what you're able to do with these film festivals as well and everything. And same feelings as when you're on set making films, you know, and you're really inspired by it and you're jazzing each other up, you know, you look forward to it all the time. And when it's over, you're like, fuck, I lost a piece of me in that, you know, and it's just, then you got to carry on to the next thing. And it's like a relationship, you know, and it's crazy, man. It's a crazy thing that we do, and it's like you often get creators come, like the writers and the filmmakers, that like they talk about it like it's their baby, you know, it's their child that they've like conceived, you know, and developed and grown into this thing, and they let it out in the world to be what it's going to be, you know, and other people to judge upon it. It's a weird thing, man. It's a weird scenario to be in. It's a weird industry to be in, but it's so goddamn beautiful and amazing at the same time. And
it's awesome, dude.
It's just it's crazy. It's a crazy world being an artist, I think.
Yeah. And it is the coolest thing about film is the marriage of like art and technical skill. You know, like
because if you don't have your technical skills on point, the art suffers for it. And like you say, sound is not often thought of, but sound is one of the most goddamn important things when you're doing a film or anything you're doing like that. Is because if you have terrible sound, the whole thing's shit. And like, because it takes emotion out of it. The sound is what gets you in. A great score, Hans Zimmer, Batman. So you know, like it just. It gets you into those characters, man. Like in scenes that are so stale. Yeah. That subtle like score going in there and winding up.
Oh man. And
like it's
I think of movies like some of my recent kind of the sound movies I've watched and just loved the sound for were like obviously Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner movie was just crazy. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
but the merging. So in that, the thing that really
I really
got
enjoyed
me,
it, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
it was long.
It's long.
It's a little
there's
too long.
15 minutes in there that probably could be cut.
2 hours. Just over 2 hours, it would have been fine. But for every scene, it's slow moving though. It's not a fast moving film in any aspect, you know.
But the thing they do with the sound design in that is they merge the diegetic sound of like the city with the score. So there'll be this kind of like guttural score going through the thing, and then it just seamlessly merges, and all of a sudden you don't know whether it's music or a car engine flying through this, you know, dystopian city. And then we come in, you know, like that was just like the sound design was incredible on that.
I will agree with that 100%. Yeah.
And Arrival. Did you see Arrival?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. And name escapes me.
Amy.
Yes. Yeah, Amy.
I forget it.
Yeah, I know. That's 9:30 Hornets for you, mate. But yeah, that one's, I mean, that movie's insane. That movie's a modern classic.
It's quite crazy, yeah.
Oh, dude, the way that movie plays out.
Do you mean Blade Runner or Arrival?
Arrival.
Yeah.
The way that movie plays out.
I only watched it the once, I normally watch everything at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times what I like, sometimes 5, you know?
But the concept was amazing, man.
Yeah.
You know, like
the communication side of things. Yeah.
Dude, it was
interesting.
Original.
It's a left take on it,
I've never seen anything like that, man.
Yeah.
But the sound design in that as well, like the noise of the creatures, like that, just second to none. And those are the movies. And Uncut Gems, sound design impeccable. You know, it's those movies where the sound design just takes it to the next level. And you know, that is a mixture of that comes in post, so that is a mixture of technicianship and art.
And that's got to be where your time to shine is, right? From a sound point of view, you know, and linking up with, I mean, you doing sound design and linking up with like someone doing a score like Robert, as we spoke about before. It's that synergy between you two, like to sync it up and make what it is. But that's your time to do something with it, right? And create that emotion and feeling, or heighten or lower it, you know, and whatever else. And it's a creation to make that seamlessly flow through the whole thing and and get the audience to feel the way you want them to feel, or the director wants them to feel, or whatever the overall vision is. Yeah. That's your thing, right?
Yeah, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
Like you can build worlds with audio, you know.
Yeah.
Super cool. But it's the same thing for the camera team, you know, like that's a hugely technical you know, like craft, but at the end of the day there's that art, there's the art of it sitting behind there. So, you know, making films is a weird hybrid of like, it's like a trade in a lot of ways, but there's that art underneath it all, and it is a piece of art that you're creating. So, you know, it's unique like that, and I think that's what makes it so exciting. When you see a movie that's crafted perfectly and also got a great story, been written really well, acted really well, like, I don't know, there's just something unreal about all that coming together, and you know, there's nothing else like it.
It just ticks all the boxes, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And it ticks that emotional box, and you're like, oh, I just saw something then, that sticks with you for a long period of time, and then you word of mouth, you tell someone else about it, and like we were talking about Uncut Gems, we both like got a lot from that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've only watched it once.
I don't think
because it was so fucking stressful the whole time.
I don't think I'll watch it again.
I don't know if I can, but I don't know if I should.
Yeah.
It's that good on first. Like you can only see something, you can only experience something once for the first time.
Yeah.
That's it.
And some movies, like one of my favorites is The Big Lebowski. And that's a movie you can watch 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And you'll pick up on things every time. And that's a great film. Jeff Bridges is unreal and just, it's crazy. But some films, one time is enough. And it's an amazing film. It's a masterpiece, but you don't, that movie was extremely, I feel like when the credits started rolling, it was the first time I started breathing in 3 hours, It was just insane.
It's so funny because I've got the exact same feelings about the film that you have, basically.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, I'm interested to know what other people felt about it, eh? I know I've had a few conversations about it, but from non-filmmakers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like that one was almost appreciated a lot more by the filmmaker. I don't know though, it's just...
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's I can see why people would hate it. I could see why people...
because it's not why they sit down on their Saturday night to watch, because they don't want to feel those kind of emotions.
100%. Yeah.
But what it drags out in you, because you didn't know what to think. I saw the trailer. I knew a lot of hype about it before I did research on, I was just like... I'd been waiting for it 16 months beforehand, because I knew I'd read different things about.
Oh, because it was meant to be Jonah Hill at one point. Did you know that? Oh, really? Yeah, Jonah Hill was tipped to be the main guy.
I love him as an actor too.
Yeah, and it would have been I think he would have pulled it off, but I don't know what
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I could see it too.
I think they wanted Sandler right in the beginning, and Sandler said no. And then they went through all these different actors. They had a bunch of different ones. And then they were ready to shoot with Jonah Hill. And then Sandler saw Good Time and was like, I'm in. I'm back. So they went with him again.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it went through all those. And, it was, how cool is it? It's set in, 2009, right? Which you don't really consider as a period piece. But they've got all of, like you say, The Weeknd is at the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
And when you see the old...
Well, they've got the Celtics player as well, who's, we should mention, is not an actor.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He played a beautiful role in it.
Oh, man, he made me so angry.
Yeah.
That sucked.
Stealing the gem and stuff, and
so
keeping
brutal.
it as as a good luck thing. And
then they've got old iPhone 3s and even all the UI on the mobiles is that old iPhone kind of vibe, the iOS and little things like that, I don't know. I watched that and I was like, damn, 2009 is a period piece now. That's crazy.
It is kind of crazy.
Yeah, right.
But when you see what we've gone through, how many more things are going to come out like that now? Because it was kind of an end of an era and the start of a different one now with this pandemic stuff,
Oh, yeah, totally.
And people are just so different. The world's so different.
Yeah.
Where do we go to from here? I mean, it's they say that, we go through these stages from humanity, of things happening in this way, of really catastrophic events, or a society and a culture goes full circle, as in when you start to see an end of an era or end of a civilization. I mentioned before, the Romans, Greeks, all these people that used to run the world at a certain point. It goes from people being so outlandish and just showing everything on full frontal and going so crazy that not crazy, but, and this is a interesting topic of conversation that I probably should avoid, but the sexuality and questioning, you know, with like the him, her, and I, and all those different like pronouns and stuff like this, because everything starts to get to question about who we are and what we're doing, and who we're actually like. We're not just down the line. We're just so much. It just goes to the fullest extent, and then it goes full circle. Yeah. So I'm like, what's next? You know, like because of all this that's happened now, the whole internal thinking of the pandemic and what am I truly made of and what am I doing, and then the self-expression nature of it, and all these different understandings of who you are and who we are as a culture and stuff. Yeah. Like, where do we go now?
Because the Greeks and Romans were like, in terms of sexuality, they were like famously very open, right?
Yeah, you know, and just all orgies and like whatever with promiscuous partners, just like full on, like in kings and queens having harems and like, you know, just all this crazy stuff. Well, we say crazy in normal mindset. What is crazy? What is now? But that's what I mean.
What's normal, dude?
Well, what is normal these days? Like, you know, you got people showing all the stuff on social media, showing every little facet of their life, showing it all off in like unbearing clothes and everything like this, the OnlyFans stuff, which we talked about before we started. Like, it's just, where do you go for, you know, like of such a repressed culture to showing everything. It's like, I honestly think this, right? And I could be crazy about this right now, is that it will go full circle. Like at the moment, we're showing every little bit of ourselves, right? Every single little bit of ourselves almost. Like we're all running our own Truman Show, you know, online. And, you know, like clothes off, everything. And it's like it's the fact of like it's a norm now of like the OnlyFans stuff or like anything. Like people growing up are just showing all this. They've got access to porn. They've got access to every single little thing you could possibly imagine with their phone, with their tablet or anything online, right? When I was a kid, you were lucky to get a porn magazine you were passing around between your friends to see that stuff, you know? But I feel like it's going to go a little bit more crazier, which I don't even know what looks like at that point. But then I feel like it's going to go full circle where people are going to start appreciating all these things again, and they're going to start covering up again within fashion, within themselves. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure because you've got now the generation of AI and all this other things coming into play of like artificial intelligence, of operating jobs and things like this and taken away from everybody. Like, I don't really know what the future obviously entails and stuff, but it's like, if I feel like we're on that tipping point of that ice age, you know, of like it could go both ways, and we're going to be here for it.
Yeah, well, we definitely are in a space now where people are at odds with each other, right? You know, we watched America last year, and we can see things that are happening in our country now in terms of certain people in certain kind of groups and political ideas. They're just not happy, and they're so far at odds with each other that they're even kind of like if I was to reference there was a protest in Melbourne at a remembrance shrine, right? There are elements of that protest that are completely at odds with the whole idea of any movement of freedom, right? Like, I feel like we're in a space where people are protesting, and it sometimes feels like people don't even know what they're actually protesting at this point. And the ideals behind a lot of stuff are, I don't know. It's super tough because like the people protesting aren't majorities and things like that. You know, like the majority is quite quiet, and we're just doing our thing, and you know. But I feel like those things kicking off, like I feel like we're at some point where things,
it's a tipping scale, man.
Yeah, like things, questions are needed to be answered, and whether, you know, wherever you sit on the political spectrum, you know, maybe it won't fall the way you would like it to fall, but it does feel like we're coming to a head of something. And it is that openness, you know, like social media is evil because, I mean, it's great. It's so great. But like there are elements of it that are really bad because we are all so open now and like everything's on the table. But at the same time, it's being used as a tool to like market stuff to us, and sometimes not sometimes people with bad intentions are able to utilize that and, make the most of that at the detriment to people in general. Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where we end up after all this stuff. But I can see where you're coming from. There are elements that make it feel like we're at a bit of a turning point. And it depends where, I wonder where we're going to turn.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
See, and I think that's where art prevails. So, like I said, we come back full circle on the conversation, and that's where I feel like art prevails. Where art has its standing point, is that it's there for us.
Yeah.
It's always there for us.
And it's making that commentary without necessarily the hyperbole of people, you can watch it and consume it and make your own ideas up about it as opposed to being bashed over the head with some political rhetoric. Regardless, again, of where you sit, I'm really trying. How hard am I trying not to make an opinion point here? But
yeah. Dude, I'm the least political person you're going to come across. So I see it for what it is and what I interpret of it, and I'm okay to hearing other people's opinions and make something of it. But I don't stand fist in hand, going, I'm down this line. I'm just
I think you should sometimes though. There's a responsibility we have, but that's why
being a good person,
there's a platform for it. Yeah, exactly, man.
I stand behind being a good person and respecting everybody around me and their own opinions and their own ideas and what they want to be and what I want to be. Yeah. And if we're all on that standpoint of be the best version of you, as long as you're not hurting anybody,
exactly. And that's
do what you want, man. That's where I stand on it. I don't want anyone to run it. I don't want to run it. I don't want to run what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm interested. If I jive with what you're doing, I'm on board. Let's make it. Let's see where it goes. But
and I hope that's the turn we take.
Yeah, me too. I have faith in humanity.
Oh, that's good.
But some people make me question it a lot. And the way things are going. But I guess the ability to be able to question these things is a good thing.
And again, that's what this is all about, man. We should be supporting each other as artists and just getting around it and celebrating the stories that we're telling.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a great way to finish it.
Cheers, man.
Australian Independent Film Festival, October 1st and 2nd. Get around it, guys.
Yeah, come on down. It's going to be fun.
Rich will be there.
Yeah.
Let's do it. But if not, is there a point to people to view some of the stuff online afterwards?
Unfortunately not. It is you do have to come down if you want to watch the films, which is a good reason to come down. But right. I actually will be hosting some podcasts with some of the filmmakers after the fact.
Okay, cool.
So again, if you can come down and see some of the films, you'll be able to get a lot out of those podcasts and their processes because, I really want to know more about these people who are making these films and what makes them tick. So, so there'll be that kind of stuff, and it's all happening. But at the end of the day, come down and watch the films.
That's
what I'm saying? It'll be worth it.
So, where can people get the tickets from?
Check out the Metro Arts website. We've also got our event on Facebook, which will give you a link straight there. So Australia Independent Film Festival, there's links all over it. And our website is ausindiefest.com.
And I will link all those up in the descriptions and everything to do with the podcast and all the platforms, guys. But
Rich, legend.
Bro, it's been a pleasure you having on here. And man, it's been awesome to chat with you and catch up, bro. And I love what you're doing, man. And just keep doing the damn thing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll try hard. Nice to see you again, man.
You too, man. Righto, guys, it's us. We're out.